Hey, my name is Joe,
And I'm Mary Beth.
and this is the best of Gen X.
We are in our 40s.
And we're siblings,
We'll talk about adulting in a world so different from the one we grew up in,
so excuse us while we save a generation.
one episode at a time.
Let's go.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Mary Beth.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fantastic.
Well, that's fantastic.
I'm glad we had time for this today. We had a busy weekend
Yes, we did.
planned for us.
Planned for us. We were voluntold to come help our parents.
Never heard that. Did you say voluntold?
Voluntold.
I love that.
Yes. Come help us, please. We need you. There was an SOS, Mom and Dad.
They sent out the bat signal because they're moving and they had a lot of things in their garage and their attic space we had to recruit all the young folk
That's right.
to come and do what they physically couldn't handle. And we had a good time. I mean, we were going through, one tub full of stuff after another. We got caught up, and the kids were there. We got caught up in the family photos and did a lot of reminiscing. And, well, we realized through that process that a retraction is in order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty important.
If you're a loyal listener, first of all, thank you. Second of all, you may recall episode 9, Go Play, they said. It'll be fun, they said. We talked about our favorite toys of the 80s, and you talked about a collection that was dear to your heart.
My He-Man collection, which I played with more than anything that I owned. I had all of the vehicles. I had all the important people and beasts and
Yes.
whatever the top, characters were in that show. I had the castles. I had the battle cat. I had like the two things that they rode on, the two animals that they rode on. I mean, I had it all.
Yes.
I mean, the Fern Street was envious
Yes.
of my collection.
It was pretty.
I had kids from afar trying to come and play with this collection.
It was pretty coveted.
And I think I said in episode 9 that our dearest mother had sold my collection in a yard sale. Now, I have been operating under this delusion for, let me do the math, 38 years. I have resented her, quite frankly. I have gone all of the, my whole life saying that I love her, but in the back of my mind, thinking, well,
How dare she?
yeah, don't be too serious with that, because there's always this little thing lingering like, that bitch sold my He-Man collection in a yard sale.
Not just that, but we put it on air, man. We put it out in the
The interwebs.
in the interwebs.
Yeah, I made
it's
it
out there in cyberspace forever.
I made it official that she did this dastardly, diabolical thing. And as we found out through our efforts this weekend, that the He-Man collection is still alive and it's still in our possession.
Still kicking.
Still kicking. So we found it in a sort of like would you call that a trash can? Or it's one of those...
Rubbermaid.
Yeah, it's one of those Rubbermaid.
It's not a tub. It's like
think of it.
can,
Yeah,
like
think
yard waste that you'd put yard waste.
that. Yeah, I was gonna say, or like some people put like their shovels and all that. The outside yard gardening tools of whatever. And so we found most of my collection. I mean, I was still missing some pieces, but you were there.
Yes.
So my reaction was the most genuine. I wasn't trying to be funny. Wasn't trying to be cute. It was the most genuine reaction where, think of having, something taken from you. I mean, just forcefully taken from you.
Without your consent.
Without my consent. And thinking that it was gone and lost forever. And I've thought about those toys, Mary Beth, a lot through my life. And be honest with you, I get upset. And it goes back to I always think about Mom. I'm like, how could you? How could you? How could you do this to me? No, but seriously, I saw it and I was so genuinely excited and happy.
We were all excited.
And we were there right in the middle, or like right before this important football game came on, and we were all kind of timing, like time check. Game comes on in 10 minutes. And when we found this, I think I jokingly said, but I was being serious. I go, I know what I'm going to do during the game. I'm going to play. I was so excited, and we started like looking up like the value of all these different.
Yeah. So Roy and Josh, they got out their phones. They start Googling
that could be worth a lot of money.
And so Joe decides, this is my retirement.
I'm looking in this trash can. I'm like, oh, this is my 401k. So it was pretty exciting.
Yeah, we owe Mother
I think
the apology.
I think I should just do it on air. Mom, if you're listening, I want to let you know, as your son, I truly do apologize. I think of you a lot better now. I'm not as upset with you. Your sins have been washed away. I have found my collection. You didn't do what I thought you did. I was completely divorced from reality. And I sincerely want to apologize. I really do love you now. So when I say I love you, I really mean it.
And I should have, I apologized to Mother for not giving you more pushback, because I said at the time, like, when you said that she sold it in yard sale, I thought I was a little suspect because we didn't really have yard sales. And so when we found the stuff this weekend and we're all laughing and just like, you were just being so funny about it. And Jen said, yeah, we didn't have yard sales. And I said, I thought that too, but I didn't say anything.
I don't just make those kind of things up. So here's what I think happened. Here's what I suspect happened. What I suspect happened was Mom was tired of like maybe picking up after me, playing with those toys, or just the fact that there was so damn many of them, because I literally had everything that show was about. I had everything. So I'm thinking maybe she got tired of that, and or she was like, dude, just play with something else. So maybe she gave me I sold those at a yard sale to make me think that those toys were gone forever. And then she just stashed them away, and like I had to figure out a different thing to play with. That's my guess. Now, I'm not going to get into conspiracy theories and all this kind of thing. I'm not going to get into it with Mother again, because the last 38 years have been hell when I thought that she did that. And I'm just joking. I'm teasing everybody. I wasn't really mad at my mother, but I did miss the collection. It was really cool to see it. So.
It was fun. It was a fun discovery.
Yeah, it was like finding a buried treasure of something that you cherished for years, as a kid, and then you find it out of nowhere 38 years later, and I just thought it was awesome.
Well, we have, I know you're grateful for that. It's Thanksgiving week coming up, and I thought we'd take a moment to talk about what we're grateful for.
Okay.
What are we thankful for this year?
Are you asking me to go first?
Yeah.
I am grateful for the fact that we got off our lazy arses and started this podcast like we had been talking about for 5 or 6 years or more. I am grateful for supportive friends and family. Of course, my health. I have lost quite a bit of weight, as have someone else I know that's sitting near me.
We're saving that.
We're saving that. But so I'm happy for my health. I feel good. And yeah, those are the most important things. Health and supportive friends and family. And of course, my He-Man collection.
I'm grateful for my family being together, even though it was we were duty bound. It's always fun to get us together. I'm grateful that Mom and Dad get to finally live on a golf course like they've always dreamed. They'll be moving very soon into your neighborhood.
Won't you be? Please, won't you be?
Yeah. I'm not going to go into that because I've got a grudge of my own.
I get that that's sensitive.
It is, because I don't know if I've really said it on the podcast, but I moved to Mom and Dad's subdivision to be near them and near you, and then divorce happened and you moved on and they moved on with you, and I was like, I'm left here all alone. But I am grateful that they get a chance to do what they have always wanted to do. I'm grateful for my beautiful, beautiful husband and my lovely daughter. I'm also grateful that we finally started this podcast, and I'm grateful for listeners. I love, every few days I'll get on and check some analytics and see what's going on. And it's just been such a cool experience this year to look online and see that we have listeners all over the world in several continents, and it's just really cool, and I've enjoyed doing it with you.
That's awesome. I'm glad you feel that way too. Yeah, that's really cool. Something else I forgot to mention, and I want to call it out just because, and I don't want you to get upset.
Oh dear.
Because you get jealous about this. But I am grateful. I'll say it in general terms, but then I'll give a specific example, and that's what you'll get upset about.
Okay.
So don't get upset about it.
I'll
okay. Wait. I'm thankful, like especially in the last several months, I've been thankful to reconnect with old friends that I haven't seen in a long time. Now I know that may seem silly or simple, but to me that means a lot because, you go through, your kids getting, your kids, growing up and through the years, you're so busy and it just seems like it just never stops. You're always at a practice or a lesson or a game, or there's just always something going on. And it's like you can never find time to reconnect with people that you haven't seen or talked to in a long time. And so the last handful of months, I've really been able to do that. It's been nice. It's been therapeutic in some ways, but it's just been real special, to be honest with you, to just finally just be like, you know what, I'm just going to reach out. And I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. It's my fault as much as, anybody else's, but I've done that with several people, a handful of people that I probably haven't talked to or seen in 10, 15 years consistently. And that's been really cool. So it's like I'm reconnecting with people that I've known and I care about, but it's almost like it's fresh and new.
Yeah.
And so I really like Joe and Andy's an example. That's what I told you not to get mad about. I'm not trying to steal them from you.
No, I was like, I get custody.
I know. So Joe and Andy are a specific example. Love them to death. They're right down the road from me now. And I've been spending a lot of time with them, and that's been good for me. I've been working with their daughter a little bit with basketball, and I've been going to a couple of her games. So
they're beautiful people.
Yeah, they are. Just amazing people. Just truly genuine people.
Salt of the earth.
And then, a couple other people that I went to college with, been kind of reconnecting with them and their wives and just kind of hanging out, getting invited to things, just hanging out with them. I went to a Friendsgiving a week or so ago in Louisville with one of my college friends and his wife, and they included me, and that was cool. So
awesome.
It's cool. It's just somebody, just some people that I haven't been able to spend as much time as I want to. Because you think about them over the years.
There's a stretch of time in, I think, parents in general that we experience where we are just so invested in our household, managing a household, and then you said the extracurriculars. You're just going. And when you do have a break, you're on family vacations and things like that. So it's really not, it's nobody's fault.
Right.
It's just,
it's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
You're taking care of your life and your
But
kids.
when your kids reach a certain age, and you get close to empty nest, you have the time to finally invest in, old friendships and
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're kind of in the same boat with the kid thing. It's like your kids are just kind of on their own, doing their own thing. I mean, they might live here or whatever, or live with you, but you still don't see them as much, and you don't have that responsibility of having to just take care of every little
Detail
damn thing
of their
or
lives.
detail. Yeah. So it's like it feels different, and just it's kind of nice to have people like that.
Yeah.
So, and it's not like I'm complaining that I have a shortage of special people in my life, but there's just some people that I know that I wanted to reach out to or reconnect to that I haven't really spent a lot of time with. And I feel bad about it. People that I've known for a lot of years. And I just don't want to waste time anymore. I just want to have those relationships that mean a lot to me. And I want to keep them consistent because I think it's important.
Good for you.
So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
I hope they're grateful as well. I hope that's reciprocal.
Guess who I heard from the other day?
That's right. God,
That
he will
asshole.
not leave us alone. I hate that he lives so close. I'm just teasing.
Well, I've noticed you're stepping up on the style game lately. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Been doing some shopping?
Yeah, I tell you what, it's my issue is I feel like I have a decent style. Like if I'm not I seem to always be in like in coaching stuff.
Yes.
So I'm in like athletic wear. But I feel like when it's time, like if it's a special occasion or if it's an event or time to dress up, I feel like I can put myself together.
You can.
But my issue is that I hate shopping. And so I will have the same outfits or the types of outfits for like 10 or more years.
Right.
And they were cool for a spell, but then it's like, gotta upgrade a little bit sometimes,
I
homie.
have found this age in our 40s, it's very challenging. And I would love to hear from our listeners if you experience this too, that transition of style. Like, when do we switch over to, the dad? Like, Josh has dad shoes now. His son calls them dad shoes because they're white sneakers.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And, when do you drop the cargo shorts and the Batman t-shirt and switch over and dress like an adult?
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I just feel like it's a very challenging, as far as style, it's hard to know where we are, like where we fit, because I'm not ready for the short grandma cut.
No.
And I'm not ready to wear Clarks.
Right. No. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's like I can always put myself together if I need to, but then it's like I hang on, and because I hate shopping so much, it's like I'll just hang on to that same style for maybe about 5 years too long.
Yeah.
So it's like my jeans, like I had plenty of jeans, but they were all kind of like on the edge of being dad jeans or trendy jeans. Right. I don't know if that makes sense,
Yes,
but
it does.
Yeah. And then when you lose some weight, it's like, crap, they're too big.
Yeah.
So then they end up falling off your ass. And it's just, I don't know. I just was like, okay, it's time. Like it's time. Like some of my button up shirts were like 2014. And I'm like, they could pass.
Hey, listen, I have a jewelry box full of statement necklaces.
I have no idea what that means.
Okay, that's like wearing a cute little maybe tank top and then a light cardigan and some capri pants and some nice sandals, and then boom, some bling around the neck.
Yeah, I have some of those.
Like big statement.
Oh yeah, my capri pants drawer.
Because those were a thing for several years, and as I was teaching, I was always looking fly,
Right.
and had a lot. So I have a lot of. I just can't let myself get rid of them.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So I'll stop belaboring the point, but to close it up, I finally bit the bullet. I had seen this Stitch Fix ad on like Instagram or somewhere, and I finally was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna do it. So I did it, and I got this my first box. It's like basically the gist is they give you 5 items, including shoes. You have to do a style quiz before, and then they give you an online specialist, which you don't really communicate with. They just assign you, and that stylist puts the box together, and they ship it to you. Yeah. They don't charge you.
It's kind of like a personal shopper.
Yeah, they don't charge you until you get the box. If you like everything, great. They give you a little bit of a discount, and then you pay it after you get it. Mm-hmm. If you say you like 3 out of the 5 things, you want to return the other 2, your box comes with this bag, and the bag already has the return envelope or the return stuff on. Yeah, you just put the 2 things in there, and you have like 3 days to mail it back.
And they only charge you for what you keep.
They only charge you for what you keep. So I was like, you know what? I'll try it out. So I tried it. I loved all 5 things, mainly because they fit and they were stylish.
Yeah,
and they were up to date.
And here's how I found this out. I saw it on Twitter, and I looked at Josh, and I go, "Oh my God, my brother signed up for Stitch Fix."
Yeah, they're just gonna make fun of me.
I mean, I want to make fun of you, but I'm also kind of jealous. Like, I've always wanted to try it, but I don't go out enough, I think, to justify it. But you travel a lot. Yeah. You got to look nice.
Yeah, exactly. So the style.
So I'm glad you did it.
Yeah, the style quiz worked because that's the kind of stuff I would have picked out. So that was kind of cool. And they let you provide comments like, I like layers and stuff like that. So they brought me some undershirts and some,
Yeah, they create like a profile, and the professional gets to work.
Yeah, right.
Assembling these things for you and sending it to you.
And I think you can like order as much or as little as you want, but I think mine is like automatically set up for like every 3 months if I want to do it that way. So anyway, I'm trying it out. We'll see what happens. But I'm a big fan of if you upgrade or update, I get rid of the old stuff. Mm-hmm. I love that.
I do too.
That's how my brain is wired. So like I got my new stuff, and I was able to like let go of like 4 or 5 things that were outdated in my closet. And just got rid of it.
If it doesn't bring you joy.
And it didn't. They just sat there, and I'm like, 2014, that would have looked really fly.
Yeah.
Not so much now. But anyway, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I still hate, I hate shopping. Hate it. Always hate it. Always hated it. Even if it was for myself. Hated it.
Same. As a woman, I think I was born without the shopping gene. Because I hate it too. When I am shopping, it's like I'm on some kind of reconnaissance mission. Like I'm going there knowing exactly where it is and what I need, and I'm out. Yeah,
like if I see somebody in a mall or something when I'm there and they're at a distance, I will purposely like act like I don't see them because I don't want to be.
You do that?
Because I don't want to be. I know they're going to stop and talk to me, and I'm like on a mission. I just want to get in, and I hate shopping that
You're
much.
one of those.
I hate shopping. Listen, if we make eye contact and we're going right towards each other, I'm going to be civil. I'm not going to stop. But like if I have a chance to avoid somebody just so I can get my job done and get out, I'm going to do it because I want to get in and get out.
Well, it's hard this time of year. As much as we love it, it's hard for people like us who don't really like shopping. But the biggest shopping day of the season is coming up, so naturally, we're going to be talking about the art of holiday gift giving. And we're going to drop some Black Friday knowledge, take a look at the most hyped items expected to be flying off the shelves and landing under Christmas trees everywhere. And of course, offer some of our gift giving wisdom for those people in your life that may be a little tough to shop for. But before we do that, Joe, we're going to tell you why none of that matters at all.
At all.
We're sharing a family story that we hope will put the unfortunate materialism of this particular holiday into better perspective, perhaps give you something to think about as you ponder your own many blessings this week. And maybe, just maybe, it's a tale that could possibly help you avoid the same or worse fate. We call this story How the Grinch Burned Down Christmas.
Mm-hmm. We were forced to learn the true meaning of Christmas the hard way.
The hard way.
The hard way.
So let's set the scene.
Okay.
1995.
December 25th, technically the 26th.
Christmas night.
Yeah, let's set the scene before it happened.
Yeah,
so,
it happened on Christmas night
in
1995. This was my senior year of high school.
Okay, but what happened? So this would have been my sophomore year.
Yeah. As Keith Morrison would say, it was a Christmas like any other. Or so they thought. I love Keith Morrison.
Yeah.
Terrible impression, but I love him.
Yeah, I was going to say it, but so our tradition was on Christmas night. So we open gifts in the morning or whatever we do. Mm-hmm. Our mother's parents, our grandma Doris and Grandpa Fred, we always had Christmas at their house that evening, and so that was for Mom's side of the family. Kind of the tradition also was our cousin Stephen and I were really close, obviously. So was his sister. I was in my grade. But Stephen and I, because we were boys and all boy, we would spend the night, or he would come spend the night. So that was kind of a tradition. So I'm setting the stage. So like Stephen, was a junior in high school. I was a sophomore.
Yeah, our poor cousin Stephen happened to be there that night.
Yeah, he's involved in this story.
He's involved in this story. So,
so he came to spend
he may
the night.
have his own trauma from that
Yep.
experience.
Sorry, dude.
Sorry, Stephen.
So we come back home. And then Mom and Dad decide to go to Dad's brother's to go play cards, if you recall.
I do not recall that.
Yep. So they left to go play cards at Uncle Benny's house.
Okay. Well, that makes sense because I don't remember seeing them before I went to bed. So I do remember that leading up to Christmas that year, I felt different. I felt less excited for the first time. And I wonder if it was, it could have been just age. I mean, I was a senior. Christmas gifts, I think I only asked for one thing that year, and it was a book that you could get at Walden Books for $5.95. It was Alex Haley's Queen. I wanted that book.
You would ask for something like that. Good God almighty.
I'm such a nerd.
I would never, at any stage of my life, ask for something like that.
Ask for a book. So I just remember not feeling that same familiar excitement about what I was going to get for Christmas. I didn't care, and it could have been age, but I also wonder if God was preparing me.
It could have been. That's pretty powerful.
To have nothing. Actually. So that in that way for me, it did feel different. Now, the last thing that I remember, I've mentioned my first love, Joe. His name was Joe. We got a lot of Joes. Mm-hmm. His name was Joe. He's now married to our cousin. But I remember him sort of tucking me in and giving me a kiss goodnight. And on my nightstand in the corner of my room, just 3 feet from my bed, was a candle that I had lit. And so and it was just so nice and so romantic. And he, tucked me in and gave me lovin's and then left, and I fell asleep shortly thereafter. It's the last thing I remember. Mm-hmm. Until the loud smoke alarm beeping.
That's what woke you up?
That's what woke me up. In fact, what's so strange is that my door was closed. And I know that they say keep doors closed, in case of fire. That's supposed to be the standard, I believe. However, because my door was closed, the fire and the smoke was so thick. And let me just say this. I shot up in bed, and so I'm sitting upright in bed, and the smoke was to my forehead. Okay, so that's how low the smoke had gotten. And it seeped its way, obviously, through the cracks of the door and into the rest of the house, enough to make the smoke alarms go off. I will forever remember the sound and the shock of waking up to that sound, looking over and seeing my nightstand halfway engulfed in flames, and more than anything, hearing your voice, because you heard it, woke up, and woke everybody else up. So while I was in my room panicking, because in a weird moment, I felt almost as if I could put the fire out. My first thought was, oh my God, I'm going to be in so much trouble. Because in my mind, I just thought that little fire that was engulfing just half my nightstand, I kept smacking it with my hand. I thought I could put it out, and I thought I was going to be in so much trouble because this spot is going to be ruined. Very, very weird. While I was having that moment, you were running through the house. Oh my God, oh my God. I'll never forget that. That haunted me for a long time.
Yeah, I remember, and I hope he doesn't have any feelings of guilt about this, but I remember being in bed because it was mom and dad's room in that hallway. It was their room, then my room, then your room. I remember being in bed because he and I were friends, same grade. I remember him walking past my room with the candle in his hand lit. I remember that. I remember you guys going to bed and him holding it lit. And it was kind of like, hey, good night, dude. See you, man.
Yeah, he lit it for me.
Yeah, so I remember that.
Yeah.
And so the me doing the oh my God thing, I still myself remember how that sounded when I said it. I remember that.
I've never heard such primal fear.
That's what it was.
In someone's voice.
That's what it was, because you think about things like that happening. You don't know how you're going to react, but in the moment, that's how I reacted.
Yeah.
So I remember myself I was having a dream, and in my dream, the school bell was going off. In my dream, it was the school. What do you call it? Just the bell,
Just
right?
the bell.
Okay, yeah. So the school bell was going off, but it never stopped. So in my dream, I'm thinking, why? It was annoying to me. Think about my eyes being closed, being like, damn, bell, stop. Okay, we get it. But it never stopped. And then as it kept going, I realized what it was. I opened my eyes and I heard it in the house. And I literally remember it like it was yesterday. I literally flew myself up. So I'm on my back, and I literally flew myself up into the sitting position.
Same.
And that's when I yelled out, oh my God, because I realized what was going on.
You're just screaming it over and over, just running from room to room, getting everybody out.
So I remember going to your room, and I remember seeing you stand. It was almost like you were frozen. I remember you standing there shaking, looking at it.
Yes.
With your back turned to me. And I remember grabbing you.
Yes.
And shutting the door.
I was frozen.
Yeah.
You're right.
So I remember that picture in my mind, and I grabbed you to get out of the room, and I shut the door. And then I ran to mom and dad's room. I think I pounded on their door so damn hard. I don't know how it didn't crash over, because I hit it as hard as I could. And dad was up in 3 seconds.
Yes.
As soon as I banged on the door. I mean, everybody has to understand this was 3 a.m.
It was about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. So I was loud enough and I was banging hard enough that dad, who is 6'3.5", whatever, he was at the door in less than 3 seconds. That's how fast he got to the door.
Yeah.
So I want you guys to envision what that would sound like.
Yeah.
That chaos that was happening. So yeah.
And Jen's room was in the basement, and so I don't remember who.
I did.
You got her.
Yeah.
Too.
So as soon as Dad opened the door, I said, "There's a fire," and Dad. So then Dad turned around and started getting his stuff going.
Yeah.
And I went straight from there. I went through the kitchen. I went to that little basement door, and I opened the door, and I banged on the wall.
Yeah, we
so
used to bang
hard.
on the staircase wall
because Jennifer was
wake
always at the
Jennifer up.
bottom of the basement, and I banged on the wall so hard, didn't know how I didn't bust a
Yeah,
hole through it. I mean, I
right.
was banging on it so hard, and she popped out. I mean, I heard her door. Usually it took me like 10 tries to get her to come to
Yeah.
that door, but that time she immediately. So I was doing these things loud enough and hard enough.
Yeah.
Where the whole house was.
So we all made our way to the kitchen exit because the kitchen went into the garage. Dad opened the garage door.
We had the phone right there next to
The
it.
phone was right next to the door. I remember, and I'll never forget, standing in the middle of the garage. Dad's on the phone with 911, and I grabbed my face and I said, "It was my candle." And he looked at me and he went, "What?" And the look he gave me and the way that he said it just went through my soul. And I felt so scared and so in trouble doesn't cover it. And so, but what I love about this story, one of the things I love about this story is that we used to watch that show that was narrated by William Shatner called Rescue 911.
Yeah, I
that
remember
was
that
a great show.
Yeah.
But we would always make fun of the fact that, and now we understand that the reasoning behind keeping someone on the phone. You ask so many questions. We used to think that was so dumb. Like, there's an intruder in this woman's home and you're asking what color t-shirt he's got on. It's like, get over here. And so we would make fun of that. And Dad didn't waste any time. I remember he picked up the phone. He said, "My name is Joe Ledbetter. I live at," gave the address. "My house is on fire. Get here fast." Click.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he
I was
hung up
standing right next to him. I was
Yeah.
standing right next to
He
him.
hung up the phone and ran out. And so he pulled out the cars out of the garage. And so we were sitting in one of our cars as a family. It was very cold out, and Dad only had his underwear on. After he called 911 and got the cars pulled out, he ran over to the neighbor. I mean, I'm not sure what order exactly this stuff happened, but he ran to the neighbor's house because our homes were fairly close to each other.
We live in a cul-de-sac.
We lived in a cul-de-sac, so he ran to the neighbor's house next to us and let them know in his underwear, poor guy. And
Let's not forget in this part of the story, Mary Beth, that there was like 5 or 6 inches of snow.
was there snow?
Yes.
Okay.
It was like thick snow.
Okay.
And I was wearing basketball shorts, no socks, no t-shirt.
I had
Dad
no
was
shoes.
in underwear.
I had no shoes. I had my pajamas.
That was it.
We had no coats.
We almost forgot Steven. He was in the living room couch. So
Yeah, I don't remember how he got out. Or,
he just, when I got her up, it was like right around the little corner from the
Mm-hmm.
couch, and it alarmed him.
Our cat was the first one out. She didn't give a shit about us.
Yeah. She's like, I'm out. Survival
she was
mode
safe.
kicked in. But yeah, Steven ran around because he heard all the commotion
Yeah,
and stuff.
so we're all crammed into the family car waiting for the fire department, and we live maybe 3 miles from, I mean, just, it's so close.
It's close, yeah.
But it was Christmas
The
night.
time of the night.
I always remembered it as them taking about 45 minutes.
Probably felt a lot longer just because of the moment,
Yeah, so I don't want to discredit our local fire department, but that's how I remember it, that it took
No, it
so
was long. It was
a
long.
long wait. We just kept waiting and waiting
There
and
was
waiting.
no 15 or 20 minutes. It was longer than that.
There were neighbors coming down the
Yeah,
street.
they were walking down the street.
Our friend Corey, who lived all the way down the street, rode down on his bike because he heard, I guess, the commotion. But it just took forever, and all we could do is sit there and watch our house burn down.
Yeah.
And what's weird is that moment I talked about being in the garage / driveway when Dad's on the phone, and I said it was my candle, and he looked at me and said, "What?" By the time my feet hit the driveway, I heard my bedroom window bust
Right. I remember that, yeah.
on the other side of the house. And that petrified me because the fire was so small when I woke up. I mean, scary, but like I said, it was only half that little table. And I can't believe that and all that we're explaining happened in seconds. Like, we did not waste time. We were out. We were very safe. And it happened so fast, but I couldn't believe that I was hearing my bedroom windows bust out because that was on the opposite side of my room. So that fire spread
Oh, yeah.
so fast.
Because you got to think back then it was like all carpet.
Carpet.
Do you know what I mean? There was no hardwood floor.
Next to my nightstand, I had lined up all my Christmas presents. So you're talking about clothes and stuff, fabric and wrapping paper and boxes. It just went up in flames so quickly.
Because mine was on the other side of the foot of my bed on the carpet next to the wall. Like I had it lined up against my baseboard on the wall. Remember that?
So I remember that moment, just hearing the glass shatter.
Well, let's not forget when Dad finished on the phone, Mom was like, I need my purse or whatever she needed. And she had Dad go back in their bedroom. Or I don't know if she asked him to.
She told me that before, like, Dad got up to answer the door or open the bedroom door. Mom was going commando. If you know, you know.
Okay.
So she had time to grab.
Well, we can go there, I guess.
Grab a pair of panties and her purse because it was right there by her bed.
Okay.
So I'm not sure that Dad went back in.
No, trust me. You're going to tell your again. I will tell you exactly because I still think about that vision in my head. So I'm standing by the garage door that connects to the house where that phone was. I remember standing there, and Dad had to go back into the bedroom for something. Either he had to go back in for something, or Mom asked him to go back for something. I literally watched Dad standing there. I watched him go back through the kitchen to go towards the hallway, and the black cloud of smoke was already at like eye level. Coming through the kitchen.
It was so thick.
Coming through the kitchen. So this had already made its way through our hallway. I watched Dad, who again is like 6'3.5". I watched him run.
Like disappear?
I watched I'll never forget this. He runs through, which is at eye level. He runs through the black smoke cloud. He comes back like, oh shit. He kind of had that, he pulled back and then he went under it. I'll never forget that.
Oh my God.
And he went back in the bedroom because I kept yelling. He'll remember this. I kept yelling, Dad, come back, quit. Like, why are you going back in there? Like, he literally went back towards the fire to their bedroom. Now, thankfully, and I'm screaming. I'm like, Dad, come back. Like, what are you doing? He finally comes back, but I was freaked out. I was like, I'll never forget that.
Well, we were in the car, and another vivid memory is Mom in the front seat, just kind of hugging herself and rocking back and forth, saying, my house, just over and over and over. And I
remember her saying, I don't want to start over. I don't want to start over. I remember her saying that. There's little things you remember.
Yeah. And I mean, knowing what we know now as adults and parents, homeowners, we understand that kind of grief and panic in a moment like that. As a teenager who started it, I'm consumed with guilt and dread about the kind of punishment I deserved for that. I couldn't imagine even existed. And so I was just kind of waiting for it. But eventually, the fire department showed up. Our neighbor filmed it, so we do have it on tape. We found it yesterday, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of the tapes in that box was labeled house fire.
Oh, wow. We there was 4 of us in the back seat because Stephen was there.
Yeah,
I remember Stephen. Yeah. I remember Stephen patting Mom on the shoulder because he was right behind her. I remember that. I remember those little things.
I remember. Well, obviously, because the fire department took so long to get there, it was a complete loss. Where it started in my bedroom, I mean, that side of the house, the ceiling and the floor were gone. Mm-hmm. So what wasn't damaged by actual fire was destroyed by the smoke, which, unless you've seen it and smelled it, I'll never forget that smell.
I won't either.
You know,
when we went back.
Yeah, I'll never forget that smell. And I'll never forget what the house looked like, covered in black soot or whatever it was.
Awful. I wasn't prepared for it.
I wasn't either. And so what wasn't destroyed by fire was destroyed by smoke or water or both. And so our basement was flooded because of all the water.
Yeah, we could see the basement from the upstairs. Like, you had to be careful because there was like a hole basically in our house. You could see stuff floating in our basement. Yeah,
and to Joe, my boyfriend at the time, to his credit, I had a box in my room. It was kind of a hat box sort of thing, or a letter box that meant a lot to me. It had old notes that I'd kept and love letters we'd written to each other. And we ended up staying at Grandma's, Grandma Doris and Fred. We stayed at their house for a couple weeks while we got settled and got our bearings. But he came by the house. He shouldn't have done it, and I don't know how he did it, but he found it. He went to retrieve it and brought it to me. And that, I think that's when I knew I loved him.
Yeah.
But I do remember that.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's good people. And that was just so sweet. And again, it was in my room, so I don't know what kind of wizardry it took to get that. Because there was basically nothing left. But the donations and the outpour of help and support started immediately. So we drove to Grandma and Grandpa's. Like I said, Dad only had his underwear. We literally had nothing but our clothes on our body. So we didn't have a toothbrush. We didn't have shoes.
I didn't have socks.
We didn't have socks. I mean, it's really bizarre to not know whose underwear you're wearing. So, for example, in the first couple of days, people were arriving at Grandma's house from all over, friends, family, neighbors, with just bags and bags of clothes for, male, female, just sort through and find something to wear. Mm-hmm. I remember finding a pair of jeans that fit me. There were a pair of boots that fit, and a pair of green underwear, I'll never forget it, and a sweatshirt. Just in those first couple days, we literally had nothing. And that was crazy.
Yeah, it was tough.
Do you remember that? Just like wearing strangers' clothes?
A little bit. Some things, like after the fact, when we went to her house or their house, some things stick with me and some don't. Some of it's a blur, but I do remember that night going to their home. And I remember like 5 or 6 of us piling up in their bed. I remember like 5 or 6 of us piled up in their bed together and just laid there together.
Yeah, it was
You know what I mean? I remember little stuff like that.
Scary and traumatic.
I remember people coming to their front door. I remember that, but I don't remember a ton of detail, but I remember some of that.
Yeah, I remember moments.
Yeah.
So
I went to Dad was coaching with the high school and I played, and I remember going to we had practice one morning. It was like a Saturday. It was like a walkthrough. It was a couple of days after or whatever. And I was still kind of just down about it, and I was being quiet more than normal. And I remember 2 of my best friends, Nick and Brandon, offered. They were like, because Nick and Brandon had their license. I didn't have. I had to wait a couple months for mine or whatever. And after practice, they were like, come to my house. Nick was like, come to my house. We're gonna go hang out, play video games or whatever. And they could tell I was just down, so they invited me over, and that was cool. And I went with them. And when I got there, his mom Mary and his cousin Adrian were like, "Hey, we'll be back, guys. We're going into town." And that's all they said. And when they came back, Mary had bought me a pair of basketball shoes, a sweat outfit.
Aww.
I mean, she bought me like 3 or 4 bags of stuff.
So
I never
sweet.
forgot that. And I told my kids that story, and I told anybody that wanted to listen, I was like, "Don't ever say a bad word about Mary, because I kill you." It was always real special to me. And
yeah, people.
She did that.
Well, we grew up in a small town, and everybody knew everybody, and that has a bad rap, but there are also very good things about living in a town like that.
We saw the good of it.
And
we saw the good of it.
We absolutely did. And so, like, people were showing up with just tons of food, clothes, toiletries. I remember somebody brought soap, deodorant,
Yep.
toothbrush, toothpaste, hairbrushes, and lots of food. And one man in particular who was known all over town. He had a mechanic. He was a mechanic, and he had a body shop. And we knew him well. We went to school with his grandkids. Everybody knew Jesse. And he shows up, and I might get the details wrong, but I remember him showing up at Grandma's house with a fat wad of cash. Just wad of cash that he had gone around and said the Ledbetters are in trouble. They need help. And just handed Dad this fat wad of cash. And just things like that, you just don't forget. And for as long as he lived, I didn't forget it, So anytime he worked on my car, I just, my heart wanted to burst because it's such a kind thing to do.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
and the kindness was coming from all over. I remember our school principal, who later became my boss. He came over and brought school supplies for us. This was Christmas break, and we didn't have a pencil, a backpack. And he shows up with just a huge box of notebooks and notepads and highlighters and everything we needed, binders, everything we needed for school when school would start up. That was our principal. And then later that spring, I get a note to go to the principal's office out of class, go to the principal's office, and I walk in, and he's sitting at his desk, and he's got this real big grin on his face, like, notice anything? Just looking around. I'm like, I don't see anything. And then I look over, and there's a brand new tennis racket because he was my tennis coach. Bought me a brand new tennis racket. And the best part about that story is that I was terrible. He didn't cut people. That's the only reason I was on the team. But he just adored me. And I was kind of like the clown, the cheerleader, the one who lifted everybody's spirits. And so for him to spend the money to get me a racket was just golden. I'll love him forever for that. Because I certainly wasn't worthy of a good racket.
No, that's really cool. I didn't know that story.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, everybody came through, and I'm not sitting here suggesting like we were, I guess technically we were homeless, but I mean, we had somewhere to stay. But before that happened at that age, if somebody were like, hey, here's a box of pencils, you'd have been like, dude, really? Like, that's crap. Why are you giving me a box of pencils? But like, we appreciated every little thing.
Everything.
Because we had nothing.
We literally had nothing.
We had a place to stay at grandma's, sure, but we just literally owned nothing except what we had that night.
In those first few days, I even remember didn't Dad have to wear some of Grandpa's stuff? And
yeah, and I think I even had to wear like grandpa's sweatshirts and stuff.
Pants.
Yeah, like elastic jeans or whatever they were. So it's like, I don't know. I think
it was odd.
It was a hard lesson, but I think at that age, it was a good lesson for us to appreciate, not having things, and for even if it was a short amount of time.
And I feel like for being dumb teenagers, we were pretty a grateful bunch as it was, but this was just a gut punch to your soul, a newfound appreciation for everything and everyone's kindness.
Right.
I had gone shopping with some friends. We'd gone to the mall. The Gap was big in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
And me and a group of girls went to the mall, and they shopped. I don't remember buying anything, but they show up. The girls that I had just days before gone shopping with, they show up with bags of stuff from the Gap. And it's almost like they had taken a mental picture of everything I touched, everything I picked up, and said, oh, this is so cute. They remembered and went back and bought like a dress and a turtleneck that went under it. It was so cute, and a couple pairs of jeans and shirt. And they brought me a new curling iron and some makeup, which was just, I mean, come on. And my best friend Andy brought me yearbooks because she was, I think, on the journalism team at school. Mm-hmm. And so things like that were just so thoughtful.
My guy friends did not do that for me. No, but they were certainly caring and stuff about it and supportive and all that. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough. I think it helped us just not take things for granted a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah,
it took about a week or so at grandma and grandpa's to kind of get our bearings, and mom and dad were. It seemed like they were constantly on the phone with the insurance company.
Yeah.
There was a bit of a delay in getting cash to buy clothes and then also to set up a living situation while our house was going to be rebuilt.
Yeah, because we had to rent.
So we rented a home in Clarksville nearby.
Mm-hmm.
We called it our winter chalet.
Yeah.
We also were lucky enough to have an extra week of school off. So we had the 2 weeks for Christmas, and then right after that, we had the big snowstorm.
Yeah, huge snowstorm.
A shopping spree sounds like a fun thing, but a shopping spree for everything is not fun.
Yeah.
I remember that day
I do
was
too.
the longest day of my life.
Yeah.
We started as soon as the malls opened. We ended up in the shoe department exhausted. Exhausted because we had to get everything. I mean, we were in athletics, so we had to get like, athletic clothes and tennis shoes, but then we had to also get like dressy shoes, and we just basically had to replace each of our wardrobes.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that's no small thing.
Yeah, we each got like a certain amount, I remember.
Right. The
And
insurance company sent us a check, and Mom allotted a certain amount to each of us. And I remember she kind of let Jen and I go our own way and get what we needed. And she had to get her own stuff, and Dad had to get stuff. And
yeah, even Steven got a little bit.
oh, yeah,
I remember
yeah.
he got a little small amount, but he got to go shopping with us. But I just remember, like, I remember Mom and Dad being like, now just think about everything that you owned.
Yeah.
And write it on this list.
Yeah, we had to do an inventory.
We had to do an inventory, and I'm like, this is so hard. Like, and how scandalous do I get? I had 5 fur coats. No, you know what I mean? Like, so you had to kind of be reasonable with it. But like the point of that is like I'm joking, but it's like it was hard.
It was.
Like,
We
you accumulate so much crap over the years.
We each had to write down every item in our
anything
room.
you could think of. So it was tough. It was tougher than you would think.
It was a lot tougher than you'd think.
Not to sound ungrateful, but I mean it was tough.
It was. That was stressful, and I can't imagine that happening to me and my husband and my children when they're still in school, and what a mind fuck. What a life fuck. I mean, everything that you have worked your entire life to build is gone. Mm-hmm. And you literally, like Mom said, had to start over. And that was tough. But like you said, we also saw the good in people. I'll never forget what it felt like. We felt like we had the town's arms wrapped around us.
That's what it felt like. It really did.
And even some of the teachers and coaches with Dad, I'll never forget them driving. They showed up with their pickup trucks, and we had to empty the house before they demolished it to start over.
Yes.
And I remember them pulling out of the driveway with anything that we could salvage. And then our Aunt Sue, Stephen's mom, went to the trouble of, we had this big basket of pictures. We didn't have albums, but just pictures. And she laid out a huge spread in the garage and wiped off and cleaned every single picture. I mean, just things like that. People took the time and effort to salvage anything that we could save, because it's the toughest is losing the memories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm like you. I never forget the smell and the sights of the house when you walk in for the first time after. It was like it was our house, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was so weird. I'm like,
it's like a movie set.
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 days ago, we were like chumming it up, doing Christmas, being goofy and watching Christmas movies. And
now we see our belongings like floating in the basement.
It's crazy. It was crazy.
Very strange. And then of course, once we got settled into the rental home during that snowstorm, we had a week off school. We had to do the big shopping trip to go get forks and plates. I mean, I remember we had at least 2 or 3 overflowing carts from Walmart, like brooms.
Right.
And like everything.
Yeah.
Vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
So it was just, but the fact that all of that happened in a 2-week span, and Mom and Dad got us taken care of and dressed and settled in a new home in a 2-week span. I don't know how they did it.
I do. Our parents are amazing. Our parents they're doers.
Yes.
Dad's a former military officer, and Mom has just always had this ability to just get stuff done.
Mom's a woman of action.
She's a woman of action. They're very organized and disciplined. They may not feel like they are, but our parents handled that whole situation so competently and quickly. No bullshit. It was just bam, bam, bam.
I didn't know. I mean,
I remember feeling grateful to have the set of parents that we had to go through that with.
Who had their shit together.
They just were so put together about, they may have been feeling a certain way.
Right.
But it was just like action. Everything.
That's what I was going to say. Boom. Like, whatever they were going through in their own way, we didn't see it.
Right. They were always good about that, though. I felt like they kind of handled things the way they handled it behind closed doors, but they never let us feel worried. Right. Or scared or nervous.
They were able to hide their own trauma.
Even during the toughest times that we dealt with.
They hid their own trauma from us so that we felt secure and that everything was going to be okay.
That's what I was getting at. That's exactly right.
And,
I never felt scared or...
Yeah, I never saw them break down or fall apart.
No.
After that first night,
yeah,
of course.
It was just always like a weight felt lifted off my shoulders that our particular parents were the ones that were going to get us through it. You know what I mean?
I mean, they did what needed to be done, and they did it so quickly and methodically, competently, and got us in and settled.
Yeah.
In such a short amount of time, and they both had full-time jobs. I also remember Dad did have to take a couple days off school when we went back. So some short-term effects. I don't know about you. I had nightmares, very vivid nightmares. In our rental home, I woke up. At that time, Jen and I had to share a room. It was a much smaller house. And I woke up, and our room was filled with smoke, black smoke. I could smell it. Mm-hmm. I could feel it. I woke up as I was trying to open our door. And Jen was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "It's a fire." Like, it was real. Mm-hmm. So there was that kind of vivid nightmare going on for a long time. What about you?
I didn't really, I'm sure I had a couple here and there, but I don't know. I think I just felt kind of like quiet and down.
Yeah.
More so. I just kind of, I don't know. That's kind of the way I am, I think. When I get really down about stuff, I kind of keep to myself. Like, I just keep it all in. you know that about me.
Right.
I'm pretty bad about holding stuff in. I think I just kind of let it just let it just fester. And
I think I did too.
So it was more of just like what would you call that? Not a behavioral, but it was more of like what would you call
psychological?
that? Yeah, it was just like I just was
coping.
I was just more down and mellow than I normally, because I'm usually pretty upbeat, and
you were just kind of reserved.
Exactly, I was just kind of
I was kind of grumpy. At one point, Mom took me aside and told me that I was impossible to live with. I don't remember the specific behaviors that made her say that, but I was going through, like, I was crying a lot and didn't know why. Like, I couldn't hold back tears, and I was shaking all the time. I felt sick to my stomach. I thought I'd make it through the first year of this podcast without crying, but
Mary Elizabeth. It's a tough one. It's something that I think, we talk about as a family. Like, I think now so long ago, it's been almost 30 years, which is kind of crazy to think about. It's been almost 30 years, and we can kind of make light of it sometimes and make jokes about how we handled it, or what, the fact there
are plenty of funny things
the fact that our cousin was there, and we always kind of make fun of that, like, we almost left Steven, and we'll do ha 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 ha. But deep down, it was emotional, and it was traumatic, and it was something that you don't wish anybody to have to go through. And I'm not saying that as if someone passed away or, something,
but it's a loss.
Completely catastrophic happened, like, to any one of us. But it was a big loss, and it was like our original house. Like, we loved that house. I still remember a lot of that house, and I remember just having a lot of good memories there. So, there's no reason, I don't know if I've ever told you this in person, but there's no reason for you to feel any guilt. Like, I get it. I get that. But it could have happened to anybody. There was no way for you to know that was going to happen.
Well, the reason
we had lit candles in our house a bazillion times.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
The reason that I wanted to go there is because it could have happened to anybody, but it didn't. Dad later on, Dad told me that the reason he reacted the way that he did when I said it was my candle is because he himself came home that night, and I was already asleep, and he had opened my bedroom door to peek in on me.
I remember this. He saw it and was going to...
And he said, you looked so precious, and your candle was burning, and it just looked so sweet. And he said, I reacted that way because I didn't blow the candle out. So I guess he had some guilt too about that. But at that age, to fuck up so incredibly is a weight that took years to let go of. And I don't know that I really fully have, but...
Well, you're clearly the way. No, I'm just saying like the way it's coming across now. It did something to you, and I understand that.
It did. So
I
the
understand that.
long-term effects, I mean, I had nightmares for years after that. Trouble sleeping, and I had to eventually go on medication for depression, anxiety, and all that stuff. So the effects were quite lasting for me.
Well, can I say something to you?
Yeah.
I hope this comes off the right way. If it makes you feel any better, I felt extreme guilt when Dad or somebody would always praise how I responded to it because I knew what you were going through. So for me, it was thank you, but it was always tough for me because I'm like, my sister's over here, like,
Feeling
going through
bad.
some shit. She's taking medication for it. She's doing, going
Like,
through.
don't tell me I'm a hero when my sister.
Because I don't want to hear that. But like, I appreciate that. I appreciate whoever's saying that. But listen, I just did what I felt was natural and what was right. And all I really gave a shit about was getting my family out of there. I didn't give a shit about the credit. I didn't give a shit about anything else.
Nothing's on your mind at that moment,
No,
but get out.
100%. So
getting
like,
out.
it's still like hard for me to hear anybody say that about how I reacted to it. Because I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking anybody would have done that because it was the right thing that's what anybody I feel like would have done. So and also too, what I know that it did to you. So like, I want you to know that when I hear that from people, that's why you never hear me be like, oh, thanks. Like, I'm just like, okay. Like, I want to get past that part of the conversation.
It was a big deal though.
I know, but I just want to get past that part.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's like you can replace things, and we did.
Right.
But you can't replace people. And that would have just been... That would have been
unbearable.
That would have been unbearable for me. So I'm grateful. We talked about being grateful. I'm grateful that we got everybody out. I'm
Absolutely.
grateful that we're able to talk about it today, even though it's hard. I'm grateful that
Some people don't make it.
We have a chance to talk through it.
Yeah, and I did feel guilty. I still do, I guess. I didn't expect to get emotional talking about it all these years later, but Mom used to try to make me feel better, she would say, because her brother, our uncle, he was the contractor for the rebuild. And so obviously their close relationship allowed Mom to have a heavy hand in the design of the new place. And so when we rebuilt the house, she would tell me it was worth it. All of it was worth it, Mary Beth, just to get... God, what did she say? What was it that she loved so much about the new house? I think maybe it was her entrance, her foyer, her bedroom, or maybe it was just the house in general.
Right. I remember their bedroom went to the pool, the new one.
Yeah, so it was completely redesigned. Everything was sort of flipped around, and their bedroom was bigger and on the other side of the house, and it led right into the pool, and it was just very nice. And it was great. It was 10 times better than the house that burned down.
Well, I was going to say, like, I think Freddie found out that there was some structural, I guess, integrity issues with the old house, or the way they built it kind of like willy nilly, like half-assed or whatever.
Yes.
So I think it was like we got a better home.
It was a blessing in disguise because apparently our fireplace, if that hadn't happened, in 5 years our fireplace would have collapsed
or something
collapsed
like that.
into the basement.
I think there were some structural sound issues or whatever, and So anyway.
Mom always did try to make me feel better by saying...
I mean, it is true. I think it honestly is true.
It's worth it just to have this house. She loved it so much. And they lived there for many, many years.
So,
but I think before we take a break, I think it's important to talk more about the cause because I'm 46 years old. This happened in 1995. I've been telling the story for years, and I'm not exaggerating when I say every person I tell the story to says this to me. Oh my God, I had no idea candles could do that. Okay, so this was a small, jarred candle, just like you see, just like we all buy, whether it's Yankee or Bath and Body Works candles. It was just one of those candles. I'd had it for a very long time. When you have those candles, after about an hour, that top layer will turn to liquid.
Right.
When that happens, you must blow it out. Because I'm not kidding, whether it's old or new, whether you have my candle that started the fire had just a tiny bit of wax still in it. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, it all turned to liquid and busted.
Busted, yeah.
I remember Dad really being upset with the newspaper. The local newspaper wrote an article on it. Our burned down house was like on the front page. And Dad didn't want me to believe that it was my fault. And so he asked the reporter or the journalist to please leave that out. But they kept it in that it was suspected to have started in the daughter's room with a candle.
Irresponsible little bitch.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, so that didn't help. But
Yeah, I do remember you talking about
he
that.
did try to protect me from that.
Of course he did.
yeah.
Dad's the man.
But it's just important for people to know because for whatever reason, nobody talks about it. But I go to people's homes, I go to these gatherings, and I see these candles, and they're unattended because you light candles in every room, in your bathroom. You want it to smell good when your guests are over. But when it turns to liquid, you must blow it out or it will bust. And it doesn't matter if it's brand new, especially the 3-wick.
Bro.
You just, and I'm telling, and when you have one where the glass is turning black, you got to throw it out.
You got to stay sharp.
You got to throw it out.
Yeah.
Because that top layer turns to liquid, it will bust.
Yeah.
No joke. And I've had it happen since, believe it or not.
Wow.
I've had it happen recently.
Damn.
And I had it was like a Bath and Body Works candle in the bathroom, and I was cleaning, so I was kind of like flitting
Right.
from room to room, and it just ignited.
Crazy.
And yeah.
Yeah, our family swore off real candles for
Quite a while.
Years.
Yeah.
Like we would freak out if we saw one.
Right. But I still love candles. I just want our listeners to know that when you see that liquid in your beautiful, lovely, fragrant candle, you must blow it out.
And I don't know about Mallory, but my kids, because I tell that story, or we tell that story, they're really on top of candles.
Mallory's
like,
very cautious too.
Navy and Bryce are the same way. If they see a candle lit that's been lit, they'll blow it out.
Yeah.
Or they will not go to sleep without blowing one. I mean,
Yeah.
So I've always been thankful about that. So we taught them something.
So yeah, we didn't want to end that story without giving that little PSA
Right.
about candles.
Yeah,
but
that's a good call.
But I think it's time for a short break. Let me get my bearings, get my emotional
That's
bearings.
right.
When we come back, we're going to talk some Black Friday. We're going to talk about gifts because, things matter.
Like we just said. No.
All right, we're back. Joe gave me a shot of whiskey, and I had a good cry.
Vibe check. The vibes are good.
Vibes are good.
The vibes are good. Positive.
Positive, because now we're going to talk about materialism, the commercialization of Jesus Christ's birth. No, I want to remind everybody, we'd love to hear from you. We love getting feedback. You can text us by clicking on the link just above the show notes on our website, or you could also email us at thebestofgenx@gmail.com. I wanted to share just real quick something that someone sent me. Our friend Carmen, our friend from the way back, and loyal listener, always been supportive from day one. We've mentioned her before, but got a really nice Facebook message from her after our last episode, saying that her first grandbaby was born. She's in New York. He was born in Boston. He's the cutest damn thing. I don't know if
Of course.
you're not on Facebook.
I believe you.
He's so damn cute, but he was born with some complications. He's fine now. Everything's good. He's home. But on her drive home from the hospital, she had quite a drive, and she listened to our podcast, and she just told me, I should have brought that with me so I could read it, but it was just really sweet, saying that it was a nice escape. Listening to our podcast made her smile, kind of took her mind off the stress of, of what the baby had to go through in the first days of his life. And so I just thought that was wonderful. And she also let me know that we were talking about vacations, and she said, planning dream vacations is what I do. And I didn't realize that. And so she offered to help us with our fantasy trips that we talked about.
How that opened a door?
It did. And so I said, well, let's start with Florida.
Okay.
She's looking at Florida and the Carolinas. She's on the case.
got you.
She said she looked at my wish list, and And she said, if it exists, I will find it.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
yeah,
I'm glad she said that.
I know.
About the podcast. That's really sweet.
I know.
And you and I both listen to a shit ton of podcasts. And for her to do that when there's so many options out there.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So we appreciate you, Carmen, and everything you're doing for us. All right, let's talk about Black Friday, Joe.
Okay. Well, I know earlier I said I hate to shop.
Yeah.
But we're talking about being grateful today. Very grateful that there are more flexible ways to shop in 2024.
Oh my gosh.
Versus 1984 or even 1994.
I don't know how mom and dad, when we were little, how did they?
I mean, listen.
They were ninjas.
I had to be the worst kid in the world to bring shopping. I mean, I would like sit by the mannequins and complain and just come. I would hungry.
I hated it.
And it was probably we were only shopping for like 30 minutes.
But I mean, just like Christmas stuff.
I know. I'm
like,
just saying in general.
they had to go out to the store.
Oh yeah, you had to weather the
hustle
chaos.
and bustle.
Yeah, the hustle and bustle and the grind of it is crazy. But yeah, so it's interesting. I never knew this until I did some research. But the term Black Friday, okay. Mm-hmm. It originated in the 1950s when Philadelphia police officers used it to describe the chaos of the day after Thanksgiving. So there were the crowds, of course. The city was overrun by shoppers and tourists, and many of whom were just attending the annual, and it's pretty well known if you're into sports ball, which you're not, the Army-Navy football game on that Saturday.
Okay.
And, the police had to work longer shifts to control the crowds. But so it was the term was originally used to describe the negative aspects of that day, such as, like I said, the chaos.
The darkness.
Yeah, and the extra work for the police. Now, retailers were initially put off by that name, but eventually they came to accept it. So the term's evolution was sort of, as we kind of know it today, was retailers basically reinterpreted the term to describe the day when holiday sales make them profitable, right? Which is known as being in the black.
Right.
So now we're here. But yeah, it's the rise of Black Friday. It started gaining popularity in the 70s, in the 80s, as retailers were competing with each other and they offered more deals. Who could offer the better deal? And then globally, it expanded in the 2000s. Black Friday went global as countries like Canada and the UK and South Africa and Australia, mate, they began to adopt it. So it wasn't just a United States thing. It ended up being, kind of globally.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah.
It's supposed to be like officially the kickoff of the holiday shopping season. And I don't remember much about Black Fridays growing up, but I do know that in my 20s and 30s, it just got to be so huge. And like, you'll never, ever, ever find me camped out on a sidewalk at Best Buy, waiting for the doors to open so I can run in there and knock people over to get a TV.
I don't like camping, period.
I don't.
So I'm definitely not going to camp out when it's like 30 degrees on concrete.
Right. But like in the last few years, people, and I would say this is like more pre-COVID, like leading up to COVID, people would like leave Thanksgiving dinner early to go get in line
Not gonna
somewhere.
do it. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
That is Ross. You sound like Ross, man. Ross Perot.
I'm telling you, I'm not. I would never. That was actually George Bush Sr.
No way.
Yeah. Not gonna do it.
What was Perot's thing?
Now.
Oh,
hey, can I finish one time? Hey, can I finish one time?
Oh my God.
Now see here. He always does that. He tries to make it.
Good.
Can I finish one time?
Oh man, props to you.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah, but I would never ever do that. In fact, anyone out there, if you ever see me on a sidewalk in front of a store on Black Friday in the middle of the night, waiting for it means I've been kidnapped and someone is holding me against my will.
Right.
So call the police.
Right. There's no need for like nonverbal like cues or codes.
Nope,
It's like,
just
nope.
call the police.
911.
So what does your holiday shopping look like now?
Listen, my situation's a little different. This is really the first Christmas that I'm kind of like on my own I'm responsible for getting the gifts, that the kids tell me they want. And that's new for me. I was grateful and lucky to have someone do that for me before.
Yeah, can we just be real?
Yeah.
Can I finish?
Listen, can I finish one time? Can I finish one time?
I don't know. Is there a husband out there who knows at all what's under the Christmas tree? Do you know what's in any of those boxes? Let's just be real and admit the moms do it all.
Yeah, I give credit where credit's due. The kid's mom was great at that, and she wanted to do that. It was a sport for her, and I just got to just chill.
Yeah, I have spreadsheets, yo.
Yeah.
I have spreadsheets. I keep track.
Yeah.
I know exactly what's in every box. I wrap every present. So
So I was, obviously was in a good position before with that. So now, and I think part of me is a little excited about it just because I'm like, I get to go out there and have the feeling of buying something I'm sorry, Santa brings it. I have the feeling of getting a gift for, the kids and stuff. So I'm kind of anxious to see how that feels, how different that feels for me.
That's funny.
But it is a different feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Different for me.
I honestly, I tried to remember this morning. I really tried hard to remember the last time I went physically into a store to buy a Christmas gift. Because the last several Christmases have been 100% online.
Right.
And I love it. I love it.
We're definitely, I think, seeing a trend where, there's that hybrid approach that people are taking to shopping. Mm-hmm. And I think we can say that more and more people are opting for online. Now, I think it's still the vast majority are going out, but I think it was something like maybe 30% or so are still doing online. So,
well, and Cyber Monday too is the thing.
Cyber Monday.
So
let's talk about Cyber Monday. So the National Retail Federation Shop.org division created the term Cyber Monday in 2005. Did you know that? Did you think it was older? Newer?
I feel like it was just a few years ago.
Okay. Oh, all right. So you thought it was more recent. So yeah, it was 2005 to describe the online sales surge that happens the Monday after Thanksgiving.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of like Black Friday ended up being in the 2000s, but it's now an international, sort of concept.
Yeah. So,
many e-commerce companies are using the term to promote their sales, and I think I saw something where in 2019 even, so it's fairly recent, the Cyber Sunday sales had reached 9.4 billion, making it the United States' biggest e-commerce day ever.
I don't doubt it. And I'll tell you what, my Black Friday tradition is to be in my jammies in the wee hours of the morning, sitting at my kitchen counter with my laptop, buying everyone's gifts.
That's so cool. You just sounded like a commercial just then.
Yeah.
Like a Christmas commercial.
And then I spend the next couple of weeks peeking through my front door. Where's the Amazon Prime guy? Where's the FedEx? And then I get back on my computer and I put a check or highlight, I know what's delivered, what's on the way. Right. I'm constantly tracking my packages.
Well, it's interesting thinking about
but that's so much better than getting in your car.
It's interesting when they're telling us this data about when it actually did start or when the phrase was coined or whatever. I mean, that's right around the time where people had slower internet connections at home.
I know.
So what was that experience like?
I know. 2005, I'm like, I didn't even get on Facebook till 2008. And even then, I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
So I certainly didn't do much shopping online.
Yeah, but obviously the goal was to sort of differentiate the Monday after from Black Friday.
Right.
So
But hey, COVID changed everything. And now I understand why there's a bigger surge.
Well, I saw, Mary Beth, that even in 2022, global Black Friday online sales were over $65.3 billion.
Dang.
That is crazy.
That's a lot of cash.
It's a lot of dough. It's a lot of scratch. The average discount on Black Friday in 2023, so just almost 2 years ago, was about 31%. Great, right? I mean, I'm not a shopper, but 31% is a pretty good discount.
Pretty good. Sometimes they have, I think, I'm not clear on what doorbuster means exactly, but I think it means you have to be physically there in the store to get the best deal.
Right.
Still ain't going to do it.
What do you think, because I have this data, so I'm just kind of quizzing you. Popular Black Friday items include, what do you think is the highest percentage?
I think it's going to be electronics.
Close. Electronics is second.
Oh.
So it's clothing and accessories.
You're kidding.
72%. Electronics, 49%.
You're kidding.
And cosmetics, 23%.
Huh.
So you thought it would be the other way.
I did.
Because of the TVs and the gadgets.
The gadgets. Because those are the big ticket items. Those are the most expensive things that you can buy for Christmas. I mean, not of all, but.
Mary Beth, how about this?
What?
Product preferences vary by age, right?
Yes.
What do you think baby boomers are more interested in buying? This
boomers.
is very cool. This is a very cool stat.
Okay.
It's not really a stat. It's not like I'm not giving you any percentages.
Okay, well, it's boomers, so it definitely wouldn't be anything techie.
It's really cool. It's really sweet. It's actually really sweet. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to give a percentage, but
They are
think about it. Think about what they're buying for.
they're buying trips for their families.
No, but that's a good guess. Baby boomers are more interested, the data says, in buying toys, likely for grandchildren.
Aw.
That's very sweet, isn't it?
That is
Yep. While Gen Z, damn Gen Z,
buying for themselves.
yeah, focus on fashion and beauty. Shocker.
I know.
Right?
They all want to be YouTubers.
Electronics remain a top category across all age groups. Price is king, but convenience also matters, Mary Beth. What can you guess what percentage of consumers say price is their top consideration when they choose where to shop?
Upwards of 90-something%.
Not quite that high, 62.2%.
Wow.
Yep.
People just like straight throwing out cash at things. Like, I don't care about price.
Right.
Whatever
Exactly.
it takes.
But
Money's no object.
But yeah, the data suggests that a third of the consumers are buying items without planning during Black Friday.
Oh, dang.
With women being the more impulsive.
Of
I think you
course.
kind of mentioned that earlier. in Gen Z, the most impulsive generation. But then, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Did you have
I was going to say, the data says women are more impulsive. How dare you?
right. But Black Friday. So I was thinking about, have the sales gone up? Have they gone down? Like throughout the years. Black Friday, it was obviously the most popular day for online shopping. It had about $90.6 million or 90.6 million U.S. consumers shopping.
Dang.
Okay, up 3.9% from 87.2 million in 2022. 59 million consumers shopped in stores on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, which was down almost 7%. So there's some trending data for you. Cyber Monday in 2023 was a record-breaking year for online shopping. There was about $12.4 billion in sales.
The economy was bad. People were depressed. They went and charged it.
Right. So there was close to a 10% increase that year. So yeah, just all that stuff's becoming more popular over the years.
The trouble people go to, the lengths we go to get someone just the perfect gift. Can you remember what's your favorite Christmas gift?
I really, really liked a karate outfit I got when I was like 4 or 5. Karate Kid was a huge movie back then.
I remember that.
And it was like the gi.
Yeah.
I loved that gift.
That was legit.
I loved it. I was like, I'm ready for a tournament right now. I'm ready for the All Valley tournament right this second. I knew all the moves. I had studied the film. I felt as prepared as one could possibly feel with an underdeveloped brain and an underdeveloped body. And no sensei.
You had done the wax on,
And
wax
no
off.
sensei. I was as prepared as one 4 or 5-year-old could possibly be. But I do remember that one. And I'm really going to kick my own ass for telling this story. But my second most memorable one was a damn Care Bear bike. Okay, people. Care Bear was very popular back then.
It was very cool.
It was very cool. And I remember Grandpa Fred walking it out to the living room at their house as the gift. Like, I didn't know I was getting it.
Yeah.
But they walked it out to the living room. I was like, oh my God.
Best thing ever.
Best gift ever. It was baby blue.
Yeah.
I remember that Care Bear bike.
Let's see. My favorite Christmas gift was Aunt Sue surprising our cousin Mandy and me. We got this present at Grandma Dorsey's house on Christmas night. And I was at the time obsessed with figure skating and never in a million years imagined our parents being able to afford to give me lessons or anything. And Mandy and I I don't know if she opened hers earlier and just kept it a secret, but I remember there were 2 little knitted booties that dangled from this Christmas card that Aunt Sue gave. And there were paper clips in them to look like blades.
Oh, yeah.
So they looked like little ice skates.
Oh, that's cool.
Little crocheted ice skates. And I opened it up, and she had purchased lessons for me and Mandy for like a couple months. And so I think we went either every Saturday or every Sunday morning. And the cool part was that if you purchased lessons, then you got to stay the rest of the day when they opened to the public and skate. So we would be at Broadbent, which was huge, and also the outdoor one, the Belvedere in Louisville. So we would have our lessons, and it was a very small group. I mean, they could have just been private. It was only a few of us, and it ranged. Like Mandy was a little bit younger than me. I was a freshman in high school, and there was an elderly guy, and our instructor was an old lady who used to figure skate. I mean, it was just like an eclectic age group, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. I looked forward to it every weekend. Mandy and I made little routines. And one of the most memorable parts about it, after our first lesson, and the instructor thought that I was her daughter too. So when she came to pick us up and we were taking our skates off in the room in the concession area, she looked at Aunt Sue and she pointed to me and she said, "This girl is a natural." Because I picked it up immediately, backwards, all that stuff. And it made my heart sore. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, you were obsessed with that.
Obsessed.
You would like tape the Winter Olympic stuff.
I watched it every day.
You got me understanding that shit, and I'm like, I had no business caring about that. I'm like, what have you done? Somebody go get some mud that I can like put on my body. Give me a basketball.
I care about triple axles. What have you done to me?
Triple sow cow and
Right.
What the hell have you done? Nancy, you were like the next Nancy Kerrigan. And The Cutting Edge. Remember, you were like obsessed with
The Cutting Edge, that movie.
Such a great movie.
I still love it.
Toe pick.
Toe pick.
Toe pick.
I still love it.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that was my favorite.
That's cool.
We squealed with delight and just we ended up in a pile entangled in each other. Just I think that I had tears coming out of my eyes. We were screaming and squealing and just with delight.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember you guys getting that because her and I are in the same grade, so we would have been in seventh grade or so.
So excited.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was my best. And then one of the most memorable gift giving experiences was to be at Dad's family on Christmas Eve. That was our tradition, and he has a very large family. And
Catholics.
Grandma's sister Rosie lived out of state, and she didn't get to come in very often. They surprised Grandma. I think it was an old...
It was like a refrigerator box.
And
they brought her in on a dolly.
That they wrapped like a present, and they had to bring it in the living room on a dolly and let Grandma try to open the present. And once she figured out she could open almost like a door.
Right, yeah.
And there was her sister. And she just screamed and cried, and they hugged. And the Ledbetters were always like that.
Presentation was everything.
Presentation was everything.
It was
and
awesome. But it was so impressionable on us.
I will never forget it as long as I live.
Ever.
And I think it's what inspired me because I'm kind of known in the family to be the good gift giver. I just kind of have a knack for that sort of thing. And I have to credit experiences like that, where you try to make it as thoughtful and surprising and memorable as possible. And so
I just remember doing the Pictionary stuff.
Oh, games.
Remember The Abyss? That was like our running joke. You don't remember that year?
Yeah.
The Abyss was like the #1 movie, and it was like 1988 or 89, and we jokingly would like say The Abyss as the answer for every picture that somebody drew. And then finally somebody like drew a black dot, and we go, The Abyss, and we laughed, and he goes, that's correct. And that ended up being the answer. I never forget that.
And then somebody drew a picture of Howdy Doody, and I think it was Dad goes, I haven't had a turn since Howdy Doody. Anyway.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Good stuff. Well, real quick, let's talk about, it kind of feels like it's probably just part of getting older, but at this point in our lives, doesn't it feel like we're just sort of passing around money?
Yeah, basically.
I mean, gift cards are amazing. They make things so convenient. And, it's nice for people to get what they want, pick out what they want. Sometimes we'll just get cash from the parents, maybe a little gift, fun gift to open. But not that I don't appreciate that, but I kind of like them to be a little more special. Otherwise, it just feels like an orgy of greed that we're just like passing money around.
Yeah, agreed.
But why is shopping for people so hard? Like, why is it so hard to get something for the people we know best? Like, if you really know someone, why is it such a hard thing to figure out?
Oh gosh, you're posing that question to me. The worst gift giver of all time.
I think you've come to me for advice, in fact.
I have to. I have no skill in that whatsoever. I think for me, if I were to give a gift to somebody, I always just feel bad. Like, what if they don't like it? What if it's not really what they want? Or what if they already have something like that? Or what if they're just telling me they like it and they're just going to return it the next day?
Yeah, or they go home and make fun of it.
Yeah, for sure. So I feel that way when I give people gifts.
Well, I can share a couple of tips.
Okay.
And they might sound familiar to you. You know, no one is ever, like husbands and wives, for example, like your wife isn't going to walk around the house talking about things that she wants. You know, nobody really does that. You know, I wish I had a, fill in the blank. And then you've got to do some inventory. And maybe when that does happen, you need to pause and do some like tuck that away. Remember those things. Or when you're like, you just need to pay attention. Like maybe you're laying together in bed and you're scrolling TikTok and a product, she stops on a product and goes, "Oh, that's so beautiful," or "Oh, that's so cool," or "Oh, how neat. Oh, I'd love to have that." You got to pay attention to those moments. But for the most part, I think your best bet is going to be listening to not what she wants, because you're not going to hear that. You're going to hear her bitch. So if you want to get your significant other something special, listen to what they complain about. What do they complain about the most? Is it back pain? Because then maybe a massage or a massage chair or a massage device. Is it having to wash the dishes? Well, maybe it's time to give the wife a dishwasher. Maybe, and these are going to, I know it's not 1954, I'm like saying get your wife appliances, but what does she bitch about? Because in those complaints, you're going to find the answer. Like, how can I make her life easier? Because she's always complaining about this not having enough room on the bathroom sink for her, whatever. So maybe a cute little storage, a tiered, pretty, something that can sit on the sink and put all her perfume and face wash on. Like, just, you have to listen to the bitching, not the wanting, because you're not going to hear the wanting as much as the bitching, as we all know. Am I right?
Wow, you're really good at this.
Another thing that you can do is to think about, imagine a day in the life of that person. What do? They wake up. They reach for what? If you go through a person's day, you can be inspired by something they might like, something they might not know exists that can make their life a little more convenient or special. If you know what they're into, it's easy to go like pick out a book or, I would stay away from perfumes and I would stay away from clothes because those are such personal preferences.
Well, listen.
Unless you like a scent and you'd like your wife to wear it,
Yeah,
But like those things are very personal preferences, and like skincare, like that's something that the person has to really figure out on their own. But you could get them like, I really love like self-care kits. Like but you'd have to like, I'm not talking about one of those things that you find in like the drugstore. I'm like, you're going to have to drop a pretty penny, go to like the department store, get a nice like bath set where you've got like oils and bath salts and maybe a bath bomb and maybe a loofah and some lotion or some, if you try to imagine a person's day and what they do from 1 minute to the next, you can probably come up with something pretty easy.
Okay.
I find that to be helpful too.
Well, thank you for the tips. Right now I'm just shopping for my kids, so they have just told me what they want.
Oh.
So I'm just going to
my
take
daughter's
that
very
picture
good.
with me.
Let me tell you what Mallory does.
Okay.
She sends me and her dad and her stepmom, she sends us all an email with a PowerPoint presentation of what she wants and who she wants it from. She's like, "Mom, you and Josh have page 6 and 7. Dad, it makes life easy."
That's great.
But I've told you she's more extra than extra.
Yeah. Maybe doesn't do the PowerPoint, but she just sends me pictures. She's like, "Here's this exact color. This is what I want. This is what it's called."
Yeah. I also like to think like it's hard to buy for what do you get for the person who has everything? So our parents would fall into this category, and when you ask them, what would you like? they'll say, "Oh, nothing. Oh, don't spend your money. Oh, just for you to be here. That's all I want." But if you have parents like a mom who loves to cook and loves to entertain and loves to host, then maybe a really beautiful serving platter. I've seen all kinds of really cute charcuterie boards because that's really in right now. I love giving experiences. So anything that like you can get a subscription to almost any service. They can send you recipes once a month or once a week or whatever. It's not like the corny fruit of the month thing that people used to make fun of, but you can get a subscription. Like I've seen things that are really cool where once a week you'll get a letter in the mail that's like that looks like it's from the 1800s, like it looks old, and it'll be like a story about history, something about American history, where so once a week for a year. Imagine how cool that would be to just get a letter and learn something you didn't know. And so I like to think about those kind of things. One of the best gifts I think that I've given to our parents, one was the family picture, because Mom always wanted to get us together for a family picture. It was damn near impossible, so I made that happen. The other one was a book for Dad. There's a thing called Storyworth. If you go to storyworth.com, there's so many options where they send the person an email with a question, and you type out your answer, and it can be as long or as short as you want. And after 52 weeks, they collect all of that writing, all of those responses, and they organize it into a book, a chapter book. And you get to send them pictures, and they include the pictures in your book. So Dad got to choose any pictures he wanted, and I got to create the cover, and I've got his picture on the cover. So there is literally a book about our father's life that we can have forever.
Mary Beth, if you look to your left, my coffee table has that book
Has
as one of
that
the
book?
decorative books.
Yes, because we chipped in to buy copies for ourselves, and Dad got a couple extra copies to share with a couple friends of his, and I know he got a kick out of it.
Oh, 100%. Oh, he ate that up.
He did. And I think it's so special because again, it's about experiences, and now we have a keepsake. So anything that can be turned into a keepsake is really special.
You're obviously top tier at the gift giving thing, and you've made me feel completely inadequate. So thank you for that. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Did I not wait for you to finish your water? Can I finish one time? Can I finish one time?
I was trying to swallow.
Yeah, can I finish one time?
I almost choked. Okay, so I looked at the hottest trends. And surprisingly, and I don't know if I looked in the wrong places, but I didn't see any one big thing. I saw just a lot of websites with very different Black Friday deals for this year. I didn't see like one particular device.
No, like hot item.
No, not really. I did see a lot of repeated things. Like I saw a lot of the portable massagers, like for the neck or the lower back. I saw, for kids, I saw really cute, really small karaoke machines that like light up and have 2 microphones. I saw that over and over. I saw a lot of slippers. But yeah, nothing really stood out. iPads, apparently.
God, what generation are there in iPads now? Like, there's
I know.
probably like on generation 8.
Well,
9, 10.
and I don't even recognize like what they're called. Like this is the ultrasonic
Excalibur.
2.6
That's right.
-13. So yeah, I didn't understand, but I did see iPads. I did see a lot of something weird, chargeable hand warmers. Apparently, everyone in the world has cold hands, and there were a ton of these like you can charge them and have them with you when you go out. Hand warmers.
That's not a Terry Ledbetter buy. I don't know what that. I don't know what is.
We call her the gadget queen for a reason.
You can actually put it in your pocket and you can recharge it and use it again. Like that's a mom gift if I've ever heard
Mom
of
is
one.
a very gadget friendly
she's
person.
A gadget queen.
Gadget queen.
My horn can pierce the sky.
No, I didn't.
So there's none of that?
I didn't see any of that.
Okay.
No. So I think it's just that depending on where you go, like at Walmart, Amazon, Best Buy, you're going to see all the TVs and the latest gadgets, latest techie things. But other than that, I didn't see a lot of consistency. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. No Beanie Babies.
No.
Well, I think we should actually shift to talk about funny gift ideas.
Okay.
For particular types of people.
Okay.
If you will. Is that something we should do?
We should.
Okay.
Let's end on a high note.
Okay. Because we like to be funny. Mary Beth?
Yes.
For a whiner,
Okay.
a
muzzle.
cheese platter. Hey, why? You want some cheese with that wine? Mary Beth, from the Wisconsin region, a nice firm cheddar. Also from the great state of Wisconsin, an aged Parmesan. Here you will find a cheddar-style spread, which has reacted nicely with the air to form a light rind, which I think you'll find both challenging and delicious. At that point, I would recommend you take a quick trip south of the border to the great state of Illinois, where you will find this fine blue cheese dressing. If I may be so bold, it's a lot of fun to let the goldfish take a little swim in the blue cheese. Bon appetit.
That's a great one.
I knew you would appreciate that.
I appreciate that. And these are kind of ways to like say something without saying it.
Exactly.
How about all the lazy husbands out there? Your wife's always nagging on you to help her all around the house. Hire a cleaning lady or get one of those robot vacuums.
See, yours are kind of semi-serious.
Well, it's like, hey, babe, got you a robot vacuum so that neither one of it, I mean, it's really so he doesn't have to help.
Mine are not going to be so serious. Mary Beth, for that narcissist in your life.
Yes.
Money. So whatever they spend it on will be their fault.
I love it.
You
I
like
love
that?
it. It's perfect.
You like that?
For the parents of teenagers, get them some noise-canceling headphones.
Oh, great call. Golf clap on that one.
Yes.
Mary Beth, for a coworker, demotivational pins. Are you ready to hear some of these?
Yes.
I think they should be best sellers. A pin that says, you can be replaced. A pin that says, it will probably get worse. Failure is always an option. And this is one of my favorites. You're going to fuck it up at some point. And lastly, dream big, then settle. These are demotivational pins.
To that coworker you hate.
For that special coworker that you hate.
I was going to say something similar. That weirdo in your family or in the cubicle next to you that you're just positive is a serial killer in disguise. Get them an Ancestry DNA kit. Let law enforcement will do the rest.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it. How about for that liberal in your life?
Ooh.
Mary Beth, I'm going to get them this year a fake Canadian passport.
I'm going to get them a plane ticket to a communist country.
You say you're going to always leave.
I also thought it would be a good idea for that leftist who's struggling. You can buy them an electric razor for them to shave their head for free, or what else? A subscription to BetterHelp.com. Pay for their first year of therapy on the house.
On the house. What a deal. What a smoking deal. What else you got? I got one more.
How about for the loser in your life who just can't seem to do life very well? Virtual reality headset. Let them try virtual reality and see if they fail at that.
Can I finish one time? Can't I finish one time? I'm trying to think if I have any losers in my life. I can't think of it. No, wait. I have some. I might get them a VR set. Good call. For my sisters, I'm going to get you a coffee mug that reads, I smile because you're my sister. I laugh because there's nothing you can do about it. Yee.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Hey, this was fun, bro.
So fun.
This was a good time. I want to give a closing thought. So technology has definitely transformed the holiday shopping experience, and I'm so grateful for that. But I'm even more grateful to know what it feels like to literally lose everything. I don't let the stress of searching for that perfect gift get to me, and I hope you don't either. And I sure don't take anything or anyone for granted. Same. Yeah.
Samesies. I really appreciate how we were able to get deep and then end it with some laughs, as we do.
As we do. That's what we do here, Joe.
Man, it got heavy.
Thank you so much for listening to another piece of the Gen X experience worth saving. How the Grinch Burned Down Christmas is officially on the record. It's now immortalized in the annals of history. If you like what you heard, subscribe to the Best of Gen X wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Joe, always a pleasure.